Good afternoon, everybody in the West, everybody in the East, and whatever time it is, anywhere else around the world. Today, you are with the Rookie Corner Ep.2, and we will have a guest today a little later called Alex Leithes, one of his channels. But right now, we got one of my Cinema Squad buddies, the Black Angus Reviews, joining me until then. So, how's it going today, man?
Oh, it's good. Just having troubles making a new title for my channel. But yeah, excited to be here. Short notice. Luckily, I'm free today again, and excited to hear everything about this Alex Leithes guy if he does show up.
Oh yeah, and I don't know our time differences with him, so I do understand if it could be nighttime for him, could be just getting off work, could be just starting to work. I have no idea, but we shall see. And so, with your title name, are you gonna like name it to the White Angus Reviews or something?
Oh
No.
no, there will be no whitewashing of Black
Oh,
Angus.
oh, you sure I can't play it? Oh, looks like he's joined us. Hey, Alex, are you there?
Yeah.
Alex, can you hear us? Can you talk? See that you're in there. Hey, how's it going? We see you. Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Do you have headphones in? Hey, man.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going? We can't really hear you. Do you have headphones in or something that sometimes affects it?
Um, right.
All right, we can just barely hear you, but you can start talking whenever.
Okay, I can hear you,
All
but
right,
yeah,
perfect.
I'm just having some.
All right, no problem. Do you need a minute or two to set up?
Yeah. Give me a sec.
Okay, no problem. All right, so Angus, was there something else you wanted to talk about yesterday that we didn't get to?
No, actually, I thought that was a perfect stream with the new people interacting. I actually talked with Lone Wolf Cub for about 30 minutes after the show. It's pretty
Okay.
interesting. He it turns out his I don't think this is a problem disclosing this because it's nothing crazy, but yeah, I compliment him about his English because I thought German was his first language. Well, that's his second. His first language was actually Arabic. Um, 'Cause he has a family from the Middle East origin, and so I guess that took predominance over German. So English is his third language. So just wrap your head around that, the difficulty of Arabic, and then a Germanic language, German, and then a Latin Germanic derived language in English. That's even more confusing.
Holy crap, that would be difficult. I mean, I took sign language, and that's hard enough on its own, and I don't even have to speak with it. So that must be a challenge. Yes. And to keep the language, you have to speak all the time in order to be able to actually master it and understand a lot of the words getting thrown at you. So that's even more impressive on Lone Wolf's part. So dang. All
Yeah,
right,
he
Alex.
he.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, no, go ahead.
All right, Alex, how you doing there?
Wrestling with some other headphones. Can you
Okay,
actually hear
I can hear you a little better. Let me see if I can turn your volume up on my end real
me?
quick. It's coming in just a little
Sorry.
quiet, but all right, go ahead and speak.
All right, hang on. This is almost as close as I'm going to be. How's that for volume?
That sounds perfect.
Oh, that's pretty good.
All right, so
What?
all right, so hey there, Alex. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your channel, man.
Yeah, hi. I'm Dr. Alex, as far as the channel's concerned, or Alex Leithes as humans are concerned. And my channel is mostly at the moment about films, critiquing films with sword fighting in. Hang on, I've just changed something. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Right, okay.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. So, can you see me or not? That's the other
No, we just
question.
have our icons up right now, which is totally fine because
Oh,
I
thank
find it
God for that
easier.
as well.
I
I'm
find
not
it easier to
using my
talk
face
without
to
seeing my
do.
face. I know what you mean.
So that's great. Yeah, so it's basically so far been critiquing films with a sword fighting perspective because I'm a fencer and that's kind of where my interests intersect. So it's got the fencing and the sword fighting films, and so they're predominantly they are all films with sword fighting in. There's a few other things I want to do, reviews and discussion as well, and other stuff, Doctor Who writing that I've done in the past. And I think that's much it. And whatever else comes to mind.
I'm not sure. I actually got recommended to you from Doomcock. I was wondering if there's any small channels because, like, I'm a small channel myself, and I don't know. I like hearing about smaller channels that have interesting content. And he said yours comes to mind, so I checked you out. And I really like your type of videos because I'm used to the typical like Chris Duckman, Jeremy Johns type reviews lately, the type of things, and like those are fine as they are. But it's like you want to have something with more substance, and ones like yours that goes over sword fighting specifically and some of the history, like, that's freaking awesome. That's that's something I didn't know that I wanted to learn. And
Well,
I like the way you do it.
Well, I've seen one or two of Mauler's videos, but I don't know if you know Mauler.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah, okay. But it was actually Anti-Tracker that first got me thinking about making my own videos. You know Anti-Tracker?
I know of him, haven't watched him, but I do know of him.
Well, I mean, his is much more focused in terms of, well, it's Star Wars and Star Trek that he's interested in. But I think it was when he started picking apart The Last Jedi that I first got into his channel. And it was watching his 30-part review of The Last Jedi that got me interested in critiquing film, at least in the way he does. But it was incredibly detailed. And his delivery is quite slow, and that also encouraged me to make my films because I don't tend to leap straight in with flashy of my time. So
right,
I guess my style was inspired by Anti-Tracker.
Right. Well, it also kind of reminds me of Mauler too, honestly, because it's just like a very chill, kind of mellow tone, and you're just going through it as it is, and it's just like very good. And with I wanted to say, is that a British accent or?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mecca Random 32. I got into a conversation with her in Doomcock, and she, as I was signing off, was going, he sounds just like Mauler. So, no, I don't, because Mauler is definitely either Australian, like that. He's sort of that side of the world.
Yeah, a little bit, and I think he's a little younger too. You sound like an older Mauler.
An older Mauler. That's
yes.
Great.
Are you Mauler for the future?
I'm not quite as old as Anti-Tracker, so there's a thing.
I gotcha. Well, so what are some of your goals later on going on? Or I know you just said some of the videos that you want to do, but do you have any bigger plans for your channel?
Oh, that's, oh my God, the fundamental questions of life. I don't know. I thought I'd like to get them out of the way first because it's taking me long enough to do top 10 sword fighting films because it's not my thing. I'm sure it's been like.
I gotcha. Well, so we were Angus and I were just talking a minute ago. The other guy with us is Black Angus, and he's one of my buddies on our new podcast that he and Jeff the Iron Wolf and I just started that we're going to do every other Sunday called the Cinema Squad. And he and I were just talking about, like, if you like, we're trying to think of a topic because we didn't actually get to talk enough to figure out what type of things that we want to discuss. And I mean, I was assuming we could always talk about like Star Wars stuff. That's always possible. Marvel stuff. But with you, did you want to talk about like certain fighting movies or movies that have certain martial art styles or sword fighting, or if you do anime stuff also, or just sticking to live action movies or TV shows?
I have, seen or watched or liked almost every genre you've talked about, but I only have real expertise or, I don't know, a more focused obsession on sword fighting films, I suppose, with a fencing bent. Although that's not as restrictive as that. I mean, I like films like Highlander, for example, which is not technically fencing, but it's a freaking awesome film, and also incredibly cheesy. And
indeed,
it's an awesome film when you. So yeah, that's more of a focus. But I like historical film. Mythological ones. I do like fantasy and sci-fi.
So do you like do you like Troy 300? Some of those types of ones.
certainly watched them. Yeah. I never rated Troy that much. I know everyone went nuts over Troy, but
It has its moments. It's not as good as it is. Just a lot of these films are overhyped at the time, and it's like,
yeah,
well, it's all right. But I guess for the time, it was the bee's knees, and now it's second tier, but still something.
300 was entertaining, very stylized, but yeah, it was. I enjoyed 300. Yeah, I'll go as far as that. I enjoyed 300.
True. Yeah, I don't think it goes for accuracy. It goes for entertainment, definitely cinematic appeal. Do you watch the shows like Spartacus or Game of Thrones?
Yeah, Game of Thrones, Spartacus, no, but Game of Thrones, I've sort of gone in and out of at least twice. It, because I love certain aspects, but then it obviously doesn't my attention. So, like after 4 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons, I stopped watching. So I got back in, but I haven't seen the last season. I can't remember if it started up again, but it doesn't quite grab me. I can go into more detail as to why it pisses me off if you like.
Well, I'm glad that you said that because I have struggled to get through season one of Game of Thrones, honestly. But
Well, that's one of the better ones, I think.
oh,
In a
really?
way.
Oh, no. Everybody says to watch it though, so I'm gonna make it a job to at some point try to watch it. But Spartacus is available on Netflix, and that is a much more grabbing show, I would say, because it goes right out of the gate with this. You got to watch this, and it's like I think of it as 300 executed better. Like they use like the same type of slow motion. Well, not the same type, but they use a lot of wrestling style moves with their sword fighting tactics, and the way like they do the slow mo thing sometimes, but it's a very gruesome type of thing. But it's also it's a perfect combo of drama, sex, violence, sword fighting, just regular fighting. It's like just like a more fun Game of Thrones, I guess, a more fun one.
Oh, so that's something I'll have to add into my packed timetable of watching then.
Yeah, I know what you mean on the timetable too. It's like I'm trying to watch actual movies and shows and then also watch YouTubers, and it's like, and trying to work on stuff, and I have a job and go to school. And it's like, there's not 50 hours in one day. If there was, this would be easier. But since there isn't, we got to take it one step at a time.
And this is why it made me laugh when it was talking about what else do I plan to do. Oh God, my plans didn't seem that big, but they take forever to do.
But yeah, I know your videos. I like how they're long. I actually like watching longer videos. There's so many channels that do short videos, and I like in-depth long ones that take a little while to get as much as they can in it. A lot of substance.
True, but strangely enough, long videos, they take a long time to make.
Yes, they do, which is why I'm struggling to get out enough of my good content because it's taking a while to get the actual longer ones out, and it's easy to get quick short ones out, but those lack the substance. You know what I mean?
Oh, by the way, hi, Black Angus.
Hello. I try to stay silent when there's a new person joining in on the Rookie Corner, since I'm already sort of established with Rookie Critic and the Cinema Squad. So I'm taking you in, and I'm taking notes for talking points with you later on. So don't feel like I'm ignoring you or something. I'm just being very cognizant.
No, I just thought I was talking too much. It's like, hang on, wait a minute, there's somebody else here.
No, you're totally
no, you're fine. You're fine.
So on the Rookie Corner, this is the second episode basically of the podcast thing, and I'm just the first half is just really getting to know the new channel that I'm introducing, and then Angus comes in and he has his stuff, and then we all talk and everything. And I think 3 people is the perfect amount to have for a group discussion because it's just enough for everybody to get all what they want in, and it's not overcrowded and not undercrowded. Exactly, 3 is perfect. So you have I don't remember, you have 20 or 30 videos posted so far.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, there's only 5 of the sword fighting ones, and then there's dozens of other random bits of crap that were up there before I kind of settled down and started producing things properly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, don't ever worry about how your format is, honestly, because the way that I started was so it was over a year ago when I started to post stuff. It was more like I want to be involved in film, but there's no film schools around where I am, so I'm just like, well, everybody says just pick up a camera and do stuff. So I got a camera, got a tripod, got a little video editing system, started recording stuff, and then at some point I was like, well, YouTube seems to be what people do. I like people on YouTube, so let me start a channel and started one. And the first 40 videos I posted were, I think, pretty crappy, but I think they were, for what they were, inventive, I suppose. And then later on, a couple months ago, I started again, and the quality has improved big time. And I like to have people see that difference. That's why I call myself the rookie, honestly, so you can see me go from a complete amateur to a lot more improved. And like the videos I posted recently are just a lot of ones that I just want to get off my chest rather than ones that I really wanted to do. And I plan on in 2019 have a lot more of the videos that will take a long time to do to get posted. So if you have some straggling videos that you're doing and stuff in between your good ones, I think that's fine. And you're a small channel at the moment, but I think that you should be blowing up because of the way that you do your videos, man. That's I consider that Mahler level stuff because of how much information, detail you calmly execute it. It's not filler information. Everything you're telling us is of substance, which a lot of channels seem to like to have flashy, funny stuff, which is fine. But it's good to have your type of videos in the mix too, because it's educational and some of your jokes are funny. I don't remember what it was in the
some of them are funny.
In that recent one. You're like you're saying you're making a comparison between one of the villains in the sword fighting movie and Palpatine and Vader, and you're like, this time, but Palpatine's trying to get it in with Vader or something. I was like, you're like Palpy, you call him Palpy or something. I was like, oh my god. That's great.
I think that's lifted off Anti-Trekkers live streams because they end up calling him Palpy half the time.
That's good subtle comedy in a video instead of just going, "Oh, don't look at this, it's funny." It's like, no, you're just like, it's just a subtle joke, and then if you laugh, you laugh. If you don't, it's just information. Move on.
Move on.
Exactly. Move on. That's great. So yeah, Angus, you can join us in now. I think we're getting to know Alex pretty well here. So are there any films, Alex, that you recommend that people haven't watched all that much? Like, I like so far the video that you were doing in your last one. I don't remember what the movie was called for the sword fighting. What was that?
Scaramouche was the last.
Scaramouche. Okay, yeah, because I did not hear that, but like you're showing the actress in it, and I'm like, damn, okay, and then the other actress, damn, and then the action with it, I'm like, well, this is unique. I have not seen this exact type of movie before. So, I mean, I've seen some old timey ones, but they're usually like Revolutionary War and like other type of ones. But this was like British. So I'm like, okay, this is something I haven't heard of. Sweet.
You're correct that I'm a bit older. So when I was a kid, there were fewer TV channels. I mean, there were only 3 when I was growing up, then 4, then 5 eventually. And so they used to rerun a hell of a lot of stuff on all of the channels, including movies going right back to black and white. They weren't shy about just showing any old crap. So I've seen a lot of obscure stuff going back way before my lifetime, just because it was all there was up to a certain point, and then of course it exploded, and now you get anything like anywhere, and the internet is where it's at. But God, I mean, obscure movies, I could pull obscure movies out of my head for eternity. And Scaramouche isn't that obscure. It's just that the older movies aren't being played as much anymore.
Yeah, which that's kind of unfortunate because I would think with streaming services like Netflix and Hulu and everything that they'd have like at least a library or a section where they have more classic sword fighting material. Don't you think?
Yeah, you'd have hoped. Well, it's easier now. I'm doing the reviews. Finding the movies is actually quite easy online, one way or another, or even buying them. They're more available to buy. But there are certain films like 10 years ago, I wanted to try and find the old Saint movies. I don't know if you know the character of the Saint. I mean, maybe only through the Val Kilmer film, but there was a series of books by Raymond Chandler, I think. Is that right?
I would have no idea.
Okay, let's say it's Raymond Chandler, and we'll pretend it's true.
Okay, I'll believe you.
And 30s and 40s, there was a series, and it was starring, well, most of it, George Sands, who's a famous actor from that time. They're very obscure now. I used to run them on TV at 6 o'clock on a BBC2 every day as a kid. But tracking them down 10 years ago, roughly, was really tricky because they weren't really easily found online. They were purchasable in dodgy DVD form through Amazon by some guy in a back room who got them from the worst possible transfers. So these are the copies I have. But now, I haven't looked recently, but I imagine they're much more easily available online. But
Well,
no one will know
hopefully.
about them. Yeah. But they're still going to be obscure as hell because they're not on mainstream TV like they were when I was a kid.
Well, I do hope that they, make some better remasters some of these days, or have some good physical copies. Because,
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Doomcock how he says, that physical media is gonna go away at some point. Like, I don't think it'll be anytime soon that like DVDs are gone, but I do feel like they won't produce as many of the copies of old DVDs, especially like as far as things from the '70s or before that. Uh, as of recently. Like I don't even know. I can't even. Nothing comes to mind from the '70s that they still, would actually produce DVDs of or physical copies. And same like thinking about all these old ones that I've never even seen before. Will any of us ever be able to see them at some point? Because
Yeah.
the way things are going, and you'd think that they'd be trying to preserve as many old ones as possible. Like
Yeah.
I'm also I never think about movies around the world, which I probably should. It's like I just
Mm.
think in terms of America half the time. I'm like, oh well, America started doing films in this time, and then these are all the movies that came out. But it's like, okay, no, maybe we started, or maybe somewhere else it started, and they have movies too that are just as good. Or like in Britain, for
No,
example, or Europe, Germany, anywhere. And it's like they could have gold mines of awesome films, but we just never really see them.
it's very true. I mean, someone threw up a comment to one of my vids saying, "Have you seen this film?" And it was a Polish guy, and he threw up this Polish sword fighting film or a clip of it on YouTube, and it looks fantastic. And it's from the '70s. I've never seen it, but yeah, there's some massive films out there that I've not seen. I mean, some of the ones in my list are French, so I mean, I have seen some French films, and they are on my list, but that's quite limited. Britain, America, France, and how the rest of the world. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot to get through.
Japan and Mexico and Japan Japanese. Have you ever seen Tampopo?
Nope, that's gone beyond my experience.
It's a noodle movie, basically. It is a comedy noodle film. It is very weird, very bizarre. We watched it in my cinema class, in my intro to cinema class a couple years ago, and I thought it was kind of stupid at first, but by the halfway through, I was just like, okay, this is just some type of bizarre film that there's this lady is like, you see her, she's like dying basically, but she's making noodles for her family who are waiting for her, and then she gives it to them as she's dying, and like, oh quick, hurry, it's our last one, you got to do it before it gets cold. There's something that she's dying in front of them, and it's just like I would never think they would never do this in like currently or in America probably, but it was just like that was a good subtle type of comedy as to where now they'd probably have her slip, fall, slice her head open, and it's like, oh well, that was just gross, but okay.
Yes, yeah, subtlety might be disappearing. You think?
Yeah, kind of. Well, I mean, in the current scope, at least in America, it's just like I haven't been interested in a lot of comedies a lot lately because it's just, fart type of humor, poop, cursing, vulgar, somebody's high and they trip or something. And it's just like, I don't know what the
Yeah.
substance is with it. But then there's like Spaceballs, like a parody one that has smart comedy where they try to make you laugh in inventive ways as to where
Yeah.
now it's just, what dumb thing can we do, and how can we make this character look embarrassed, and it's just, I don't know, kind of pathetic. And I don't know why I'm specifically talking about that stuff, but like also with fighting, let's talk about fighting, I guess. And
Okay.
in this way, Angus can come in and out too. I don't want to just keep him quiet, but I do want to see your opinion, Alex, on a lot of stuff. So, with like, did you watch the Daredevil show on Netflix? Alex?
Sorry, I assume you were. I thought you were Angus for that one.
Oh no, so I'll ask Angus a question so I can give you a break for a sec, and then I'll come back to you with some other stuff. So,
Okay.
Angus, are there any fighting films that you recommend or that you want to see or you want to hear about from Alex, maybe?
Well, I'm not sure if he's done it. I just, found him through you, so I'm looking at his channel, and I do plan to go through it because it interests me. Old film stuff, like I watched a little bit of Metropolis when he's talking about old
Mm.
film, and I'm blown away at how clear it is. That there's like this big gap in the say 60s to the 80s where film by big producers was really fuzzy, but you look at stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s, black and white, it's really clear. It's like, well, where'd they mess up?
Mm.
So I'm very interested in some of the stuff he's showing that I will be going through his catalog. As far as films with fighting, besides like, I guess, obvious ones, I guess I would be interested in his take on the gun fu of John Wick. Since it's very well choreographed and the way they filmed it is a lot like long shots, not a lot of editing to those. But I guess a classic fighting movie I would be interested in his take on would be Seven Samurai and oh, what's the other one? Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Right. Although I have seen The Seventh Samurai, I think it was like a billion years ago, and I don't remember it so well. Crouching Tiger, I do remember better because
Both are Japanese films, right?
um,
I think one's Chinese.
Chinese actually. Crouching
Yeah,
Tiger
same thing.
Chinese. Oh, that's not going to piss anyone off.
No.
I believe Seven Samurai is Japanese. Crouching Tiger, Chinese.
Okay. Yeah, same thing. Just kidding. Yeah.
It's just so not. Anyway,
No.
I enjoyed Crouching Tiger a lot, and it was beautiful cinematography. I think a lot of Chinese film buffs who are more into the genre than I am were pissed off at Crouching Tiger because they said, "Oh, this is a parody, or this is a travesty of the original art form of wire work, and etc." But I don't have that much snobbery about it, so I really enjoyed the film for what it was. Um, the story was clear. It got me watching a few other films that were similar. His names have just gone straight out of my head, but I might remember them. Oh, One was one, I think, which is almost like
Is that Jet
one.
Li one?
Yeah, that was quite good, I thought. But it's not my sort of sword fighting, but I can appreciate the artistry of it, and it's cool. I mean, it's well choreographed. You get a sense of danger. You feel they might really slice an ear off. I mean, it, it's not outside of my specific weapon experience, but yeah, I enjoyed it, and it had a good narrative. And you could come in now while I try them out at the same time. All the days have gone up my head.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's another film that I need to actually watch. I haven't seen a lot of films that I probably should have by now. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one that's on the list as well. Angus can give me some shade for not seeing a lot of films that everyone else has seen lately.
Hey, in your defense, critic, one thing I was going to point out that I'm enjoying that I guess I realized but never put to paper as like a thought. Um, what's interesting about your channel is that you're using pop culture YouTube to learn about pop culture and learn about entertainment from various people and just your own discussion. Someone's like, "Hey, check this out," or "This is similar to this," and you're like, "Wow." You don't see that with other YouTubers. It's assume that they know everything. In my film class I took, history of film, I was the only one who hadn't seen Rocky or The Godfather. I knew Rocky, like the general story. I knew the iconic scenes. I'm a Philadelphia Eagle fan, so I know it's like the Philly movie before he won the Super Bowl. But I've seen Million Dollar Baby before, so it's like, why would I watch, in my opinion, a lesser underdog story? Someone's done better.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I like the way you put that because, yeah, I mean, YouTube is a great way to learn these days, I would say. When you find the right type of YouTubers, they give a lot of information. And this way you can get a different perspective even before you see the film. And I don't know, yeah, I'm learning a lot here. I'm trying to watch The Expanse as you and Wolf suggested. And It's a slow first 2 episodes, but I feel like it is picking up. I feel like it's going to pick up, and I am interested.
Proper hard sci-fi, thank God.
Yes, I will. I will admit too, like on a sci-fi level, because I love shows like Stargate and like Agents of Shield. Season 5 kind of goes into the sci-fi type of thing in space, exactly like this kind of, and I like that type of setting, and it does pretty well. And the technology is all right. I like how they go from one problem to the next. It's like, okay, this bad thing just happened, and now it's not just okay, let's do the next thing. Well, you're about to, but then something else happens, and then you're about to, and then you can't breathe, and it's like, okay, that's exactly how space would probably be like, where there's constant problems amongst the other big problems. So far, I'm kind of liking that. Along with it, that's kind of weird how I get my enjoyment with a space film. Honestly, there's no or space show. There's no huge action yet, other than just that one explosion. But I still like a lot of the other aspects that they do. And that old guy who's kind of going crazy with the lack of sunlight and trying to stick his feet in the dirt. I don't know. I like little details like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really smart. It makes me think with good hard sci-fi, it thinks of the details of what we know science-wise about space and applying it to a story. It's a lesson that are always talking about nostalgic movies. I finally watched Die Hard, another film that's like, how have you not seen that? Finally watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect, because they're aware of like every little detail in this setting where it's like, oh, he's not wearing his shoes for some reason, and they make a point to shoot the glass out, and they don't forget he's not wearing shoes. This is a problem for him in surviving. And space really needs to be aware of its setting.
There you go, Alex.
Well, I was just it just reminded me of I have a small, limited amount of experience of being an author. I wrote some Doctor Who stories, and when I was writing the Doctor Who short stories, these are short stories, I always wrote them from a much more hard sci-fi perspective, because I mean, Doctor Who has a nasty habit, particularly recently, of becoming a pixie genre
cliche kind of.
Well, but also just sod the science. Let's just do whatever we like. It's a very loose internal logic that it's playing with, which is not what I consider sci-fi. Writing the Doctor Who, I was making it quite grounded. The thing that made me laugh as you were talking about Die Hard, and the last one I wrote where I went nuts word length because there's a chance. I basically did a parody of the Fourth Doctor, the Tom Baker Doctor, in it. And there was a scene where he has a similar thing where he's lost his shoes. Only, unlike Bruce Willis, where he's completely barefoot, the Doctor still has his woolly socks on. But it doesn't really help when you've got ground glass all over the broken glass. But yeah, that just reminded me of that. Sorry.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's awesome that you've had your own little Doctor Who stories from back in the day, because I used to do the same thing with Star Wars. I would insert, except for instead of trying to ground it in reality, it was even worse fantasy, because I would inject me and my friends in it and have and since I was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, I didn't understand a lot of logic at the time. So I'm just like, oh yeah, this is just happening and this is just happening. I was just reading one of my old ones recently, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where it's supposed to take place, like between which episodes or after something. And oh, it's like, oh, this is supposed to be between 3 and 4. And apparently I have Obi-Wan, the head of a Jedi Academy on Coruscant somehow. And all these things. And it's just like, that's very bad writing on my part, but that was a source of my current creativity. I was going to ask you that. So did all those writings that you do for Doctor Who, do you think that is a seed that helped you be where you are now?
That's a good question. Well, oh God, that's a long question. That could take a while. Are you sure you want to ask
that? Dude, we got time.
So that was one of the things I wanted to do, was be a writer. Yeah. And that was almost like the peak of that bit, because I've not written very much recently. Those 3 stories I've mentioned in particular were published by Big Finish. They were commissioned by Big Finish, who were publishing short story compilations, BBC. So that was kind of my thing. 3 short stories were in books. They got ISBN numbers and everything. and then I kind of didn't very. So, but is it where I am now? I recently got my PhD, my doctorate in cosmology. So that's a literal doctor of time and space. So
Heck yeah, dude.
did it did it influence where
Where
I am now?
wear
Yeah.
that title, wear that title on your chest. I have like a have like Doctor YouTuber or something as a T-shirt or something, so
Have
you
it
can.
ahead. Yeah. Yeah. No, so yeah, it, all of it has affected where I am now. This is why I said you should want to ask that question. Very
All right. Well,
informed.
yeah,
Try and answer that one.
if you want to keep on elaborating, that's fine, honestly. But I do understand what you mean by that too, because it's like that's a small piece into a larger puzzle, kind of. That's how I see. It's how I see it too. So I understand. Well, a lot of my creativity came from reading and writing, and the creative writing was my just big thing that I always would do. Like whenever, like ever since middle school, they would ask me, or they'd have the class do a 3-paragraph little story or something, or a 1-page thing, and that mine would be at least 12 pages. So
Yeah.
the teacher was not happy grading my stuff because it'd be a huge novel, basically. Like, oh god, I just wanted you to have 1 page each, and now you got to do 12 pages for one kick. God damn it! Like,
Well, I always enjoyed writing. I just seem to have got sort of sidetracked into other things. It's difficult to, you can't focus multiple streams at once. If you, so I stopped reading for pleasure while I was doing this. It hasn't happened for 4 years.
yeah, yeah, I see on that. Like, again, like I wish that we had like 50 hours in the day, because then we'd be able to split our time up easier. We'd be able to focus on all these things we want to do. And it's like, well, yeah, like with reading, with movies, like I mean, suggested stuff all the time, and I really
We'll do
don't
it.
have the time to sit and watch and focus.
We'll do
And
a Dr. Manhattan.
what?
Do a Dr. Manhattan.
I don't know that reference.
Oh, okay. You've not seen Watchmen then?
Oh, the blue guy, the naked blue
Yeah,
dude. Okay,
yeah.
like, huh? I was like, trying to think of a guy in Manhattan or something. I'm like, what? Okay, I know.
So split yourself into many different pits and have them all
Yeah,
doing different tasks.
yeah, exactly. And that's a good point. So Angus, are you figuring that out lately too with YouTube, or with your plans going forward? That it's going to be a very hard grind to get to be able to like watch everything, watch YouTubers, watch the content you want to watch for films and shows, and do work, or if you're going to school, or you're a parent. So I mean, you don't have to go to school to balance that. You got kid duties on there. So
Yeah, it's a real juggle. I don't know if Alex realizes it or not if he's been on this channel before, but I self mute myself a lot because I have my kids. Like right now, my daughter's taking a nap, and my son's watching this goofy guy called Blippi on YouTube. He loves him, and that's in the front room. We got it quiet. He's entertained by what the cable guy, the movie, coins the babysitter. But I do interact with him. So when I mute myself, I'm usually going in there, interact with them while I'm listening to y'all, and getting toys for them or whatever. But yeah, it's really a grind when the format that Rookie Critic is. He's kind of the Jeff Hicks of this, and I'm totally fine seeing that spot to him. He's really assembling what I'm trying to, I guess, market for us all as the second wave of the fandom menace. Like we've just begun, and the one problem is all the material of each other that absorb, but stay sane and do our own content as well. Um, Rookie Critic, he's doing live streams now more, and so that's an easier way, I guess, to outreach. But me, I like yourself to do very in-depth videos, which take forever to edit. Um, and then I'm trying to read stuff as well. Like I read, I was in the hospital for a while, so I read Watchmen finally, and I'm like, oh my god, I love the Watchmen movie more, but it's because it was literally like storyboarded from the comic. It's so in depth. So I love the Dr. Manhattan reference you just said. But
Well,
no, it
thank
is
you.
a real grind to try to I don't know, not go crazy from just the overload, I
Well,
guess.
I'm glad you've been marketing for us because like I want to be interactive with social media, but that's another task. That's like another you've got to message these people, you've got to get the post links here, you got to share this there, and make sure they know about this, and it's just more work in a way. And I'm trying to adjust to all that. At some point, I figured by 2019 it'll be easier. Like even for all of us who are on long enough, we will get our stride and figure out what exactly to do and how to split our time. I don't know if you have kids, Alex, or if you have school or
No,
other activities, another job.
I do teach. That's my well, I teach part time. That's my main job and main income source. So that stops me from starving to death. I'm also not trying to panic about the YouTube too much
Well, that's a good way
because
to do it.
yeah,
What do you teach?
that what I teach maths and science at the moment to tiny little kids. I've taught every age now. I've taught secondary for a long time. I taught the undergrads when I was doing the PhD, and I've gone straight from undergrads to tiny little dwarves leaping around and getting
Oh
colds
boy.
and stuff. Uh, but it's all good fun.
Well, that's good. And yeah, and I don't think YouTube should be something to worry about too much. Like if other things in your life are starting to, be a little overwhelming, then, taking a back seat from YouTube is probably a good idea sometimes. Like I plan, like I've jumped into this planning on taking a break every now and then. Like at the end of the year, like for the whole month of January, I plan on not really doing much. So that I can, regroup kind of and do other things that I wanted to do. And I feel like everybody should try to take at least 2 breaks in the year or something, 2 or 3. So like
Yeah,
have
Critic.
yeah.
Oh, I was just going to add to what I was saying earlier with what you're saying about breaks. I don't know if you follow David Stewart. He's kind of a bigger YouTuber that's underrated, I think. He's under utilized or what have you. He's not really sourced in the fandom Menace, but he actually is taking all of October off and ignoring his social media and everything. He's also an author. He's just taking like a clean slate break for a month. So I definitely am like probably once the NFL season is over for myself, that's a source for me to make easier videos consistently. Once the Super Bowl is over, I'll probably take a break in February myself. So it's crazy
Okay.
you said January.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Well, I figured January because I'll take a little break on that, and I'll still probably be working on videos myself during that time, but it won't be worrying about posting videos. And I think that's a good idea for you too to take your breaks here and there. Alex, it seems like you have a good schedule with the way you're doing it right now, to where you're not overstressed with YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to get them out quicker. Particularly Doomcock has decided to steal some of my thunder. He messaged me the other day saying, "I'm going to review a film, which I'll try and maintain the mystique for as long as possible by not saying which one it is. But it happens to be one of the ones in my sword fight series. In fact, it happens to be the next one in my sword fight series." And I
Oh,
said,
really?
"So you're going to review the film in the series that you like so much that I'm producing, that's going to be in my series, and you're a massive channel in comparison to me.
Oh
So you're
no.
not stealing my thunder at all." And he was funny about it, and I'm perfectly happy to do that. It's like you can
But
keep every film to yourself forever.
hey,
But come
see,
on, I mean, this is
yeah,
the thing.
no, I see that as a good thing though, because Doomcock will give his, this film, his huge Doomcock voice to it, and his comedic voice, and his Harvey and stuff, with his type of review, and his will be more, pop culture based toward the fandom. Yours will be a great critique about the product as it is. So, it'll be
I don't know.
two reviews, two different things.
Definitely going to be some pop culture references in mine for reasons I will not go into now without spoiling the entire thing. But damn
Okay.
it.
Alex, do you plan on possibly teaming up with Doomcock for a video or having him guest appear to get you some more notoriety? Is that
I
anything y'all
think
have discussed?
he's mentioned it, and I've been on a couple of his live streams. I've actually gone on his live streams semi-regularly, and I've even done one of his Discord-only Patreon chat things. So, but I think both he and Trekker have, in passing, mentioned doing something together, like a live stream together. and then nothing's come of it. So it's like,
Yeah, well, I
aw.
think Jim Cox said specifically that he's been so busy with stuff too, and that next year he's going to try to be more interactive with other channels, is what it sounded like. So hopefully, channels like us will all get a chance to, go live with one of them. I'm trying to talk with Mecha Random sometimes whenever she live streams to see if she wants to pop in one of these days. I said Halloween. Angus and I might, and if Jeff, the Iron Wolf, can join, or if anyone could join, we'll freaking have an open channel for all I know, and have people come on in. We'll talk about horror movies or Halloween stories and do whatever, and hopefully even bigger ones that don't have anything to do pop in for a sec. I mean, I don't care. That'd be cool. That'd be something. I don't want to make them feel like we're begging them to use their platform or anything. Half the time, I feel like a lot of people sometimes just want them as a jump start, like on EVS or something, on Comic Artist Pro Secrets. A lot of the comics people are like, "Oh, can we just get on your channel real quick and then never see you again?"
Yeah, exactly. That kind of behavior is not something I want to be. I am friends with Doomcock. I'm friends with Anti-Tracker. I'm friends with Mindless Entertainment. I don't know if you know her channel.
The God Empress Jessie, who screams and makes people go in the fetal position in the corner. Yeah,
she's brilliant. But bizarrely, I never thought I'd ever say this. I was very wary of the whole online getting to know people or YouTube channel stuff, and I almost snobby about it, I suppose, in a way, thinking, "Oh, I'm not getting into this field." And then I've been drawn totally in, but viewing them as friends. I mean, I actually view all three of them as friends. We actually talk, albeit only sort of remotely and thousands of miles away, but we actually have conversations. And so, yeah, I'm not talking to them with a view to them promoting me or promoting my channel. I'm talking to them because I view them as friends, and that's, I think, how it should be and how we should be talking to each other.
Yeah, well, I think that's a better reason to do it, and you can have more substance and conversation. Like right now, like it almost seems like, okay, I'm just talking to you because you're another YouTuber, but it's like, no, I'm interested in what you view about a lot of these things and how want to get to know you. Yesterday we had Lone Wolf Cub on, and he's all the way in Germany, and like in a way, I kind of feel like the YouTube community is sometimes better than the Facebook community, if you know what I mean. Like if you have friends on Facebook, like you don't talk to them all the time, but it's like I feel like I'm getting along a lot with the YouTubers, and it's fun. I like getting to know people.
Given the pitiful size of my channel, I kind of assumed you weren't talking to me just because of the fame and the fortune, the fame.
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean that's one of the things too. I mean, I could talk to you big or small. I mean, the subscriber number shouldn't matter for your channel. Honestly, if you want to talk to somebody, you should want to talk to them, and that's good. And if you're good at talking, that's good. Some people are shy, but I also think that's why it's good to reach out, also to give people the chance that don't get to speak out all that often, chance to express themselves, talk with other people. Maybe that's easier than just talking in front of a camera. They have somebody else to talk to.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Think it's healthy.
Angus, do you have anything to say right here? Want to jump in?
Yeah, I was just being cognizant, but I was replying to my mom, who is in the chat. I'm waiting to see if she has any movies she wants Alex to discuss. It. I don't know if she knows any sword fighting movies that we haven't already at least named. So I'm waiting on that. But
hi, Angus's mom.
Because
yeah, Miss Moser in the chat. That's my mommy down in Oklahoma. But with like the YouTube and the meeting up with each other, making like friendships, whatever. I'm totally down for that because I go to school myself, but I'm a veteran. I'm a parent. I'm married. I live almost an hour away from the school. I'm 26, and everyone is like 19 or so in school. So I got all these things that preclude me from like normal interactions for like the typical frat life or extracurricular activities. So yeah, YouTube is we're able to link with each other because it's hard to find people that are like in depth unless you go to like comic stores and just hang out all day and try to talk with someone about a topic you like. It's hard to find someone in depth to rag on Last Jedi like you want, and everyone's like, "Oh, I saw it. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but it was fun." They don't
Those are
get
boring.
They don't get the rape and murder that movie has done to the franchise.
Yeah, it's boring. They have boring conversations. It's like, it was a movie. I'm like, yeah, I know, but
yeah, it's
what
like,
else about it? You didn't like
and
it?
they don't
That's
get like
fun.
the
Oh my god.
they don't get the political stuff being thrown into entertainment that is overstepping it. Politics in film like Dark Knight or Captain America: Civil War, where it's apolitical, it doesn't tell you a side to pick, where it's like both sides have a valid point. That's good political storytelling, but they don't see what's happening. The indoctrination in film that's going on right now.
Or like
They're
behind the scenes
It's
of
part of the
Justice League.
narrative in those films. It's not derailing the narrative. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you're fine, Alex.
It's part of the
Respond.
narrative when it's done well. But it's in these films, it's derailing the narrative. It's completely destroying the narrative flow. You can't suspend disbelief when you're having something that shouldn't be in the story thrust into your face for the purposes of being a message, but the message isn't part of the story.
You mean the space horses in The Last Jedi weren't important? that whole Canto bite wasn't necessary for our brains to process in Star Wars? Really?
I must confess, I've only enjoyed the film Trekker's 30-part breakdown. I've not seen it for real, but I do know exactly what you're saying because it's more detailed than the real film when you see it through Anti-Tracker. And yeah, I feel the only important part of the film.
Did you see Mahler's critiques on it?
Oh, I did see some of it, yeah, because he's got about 3-hour-long vids, hasn't he? Breaking
three or four. He's got 3 hour and a half, 2 hour long ones or something. They are very long critique. His Force Awakens one's going to be even longer, is what I hear.
I want to see that because the Force Awakens was about a third or a quarter of the way into the film. I thought, this has really gone off the rails. Yeah.
I don't know. I felt more with Force Awakens than I did with The Last Jedi. I mean, I don't like either of them, but my God, I could swallow The Force Awakens more than The Last Jedi. When The Last Jedi, the first thing where he's like, hello, is that your mom? Okay, or something. It was like in the beginning. I'm like, oh my God, really? And then just everything they're doing is just feels wrong, and just all of it. And then Leia flies in space. I was like, even if that was Luke or if that was The Rock, that would look stupid. I'm sorry. Just don't have that scene. There's so many things that just visually look wrong. And I have my own critique coming soon, but I'm going to try to do a little different approach on like what information I'm trying to tell instead of the classic stuff that everybody has said. But that's not going to be my main focus of it. I'll give my regular critique as well as try to spice it up a little. But there's too much to be said.
I think you're right. I think The Force Awakens is a more subtle form of crap.
Yes, it's less insulting. It's thrown at your feet, not at your face. It's still thrown at you, but it's not going to hit you in your ears or nothing. It's just like, oh, look at that crap, and not I'm blind.
It's no less unpalatable. It's just it takes you longer to realize you're being fed crap. This is J.J. Abrams in a nutshell. Dawned on me over the years what a lazy hack he is. Films are.
Yeah, the analogy I use is chasing a carrot, on a treadmill or on a carriage. That's J.J. Abrams' style. That's The Force Awakens. It's this could be getting good at any second. Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Fast.
All the build up to nothing is just oh, okay.
Yeah, like a balloon being let go at the end after blowing it up. That's it, was it?
Yes, exactly.
You might have amused a 3-year-old, but
or seeing the big shadow and then it's just a little mouse, and you're like, oh, well, okay, that's what it is.
And that goes all the way back to the first Star Trek as well. We came out the first Star Trek movie, and my initial reaction was, I suppose that's all an order. They wouldn't really cope with real Star Trek. And then I thought, wait, acting this. Why am I just making it straight off the bat? Hang on. But it took maybe a few years to retrospectively go, hang on, wait, all of these films, they're all a con job. Terrible.
No.
I don't want to rewatch them.
I actually haven't
Alex,
seen
Star Trek.
Hey, go ahead, Angus.
Oh, no.
No, I was just saying, I haven't seen Star Trek.
Yeah, well.
Any of them, like any of the originals, any of the J.J. Abrams new trilogy, anything, the original, any series?
Oh, what? Sorry. I watched
Oh, that was for Rookie Critic.
Fringe.
Wait, what?
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just asking. I'm like, wait, I'm confirming, I guess,
Oh, with
clarifying.
me. Oh,
Yeah, with you, you've done
oh, I haven't
the
seen
new
any.
J.J. Abrams
I haven't seen any Star Trek.
stuff.
I tried to watch some of the new Star Trek movie, the first new one that came out recently, 2000 whatever, and it was, I don't know, it just looked like just a cliche movie at first, so I just didn't really watch it. And then the other ones, I mean, they look okay. I walked in on my mom watching the one with Christopher Lloyd in it. So
You make it sound like it's dirty.
well, that kind of caught my attention because I was just getting some pizza or something, and then I hear him going, "Oh, I don't know," you know, the Christopher Lloyd type of loud speak. He's like, "Oh, how dare you do that? To get off the ship," or something. I was like, "Oh, was that Christopher Lloyd in
Star
that
Trek
makeup?"
3, which you're referring to, I believe.
I was kind of just watching
Yeah,
for a little bit. I was like, okay.
Spock one.
Star Trek 3 is not bad, but you should watch 2, the one immediately before it, because that's so much better. But anyway.
Number 4 is my favorite so far.
Oh, Space Whales. Okay, Space Whales are fun too, but 2 is the best one. You have to watch The Wrath of Khan. I mean, if you're going to watch any Star Trek movie, just go watch The Wrath of Khan and forget
that's what everybody recommends.
So far, my experience. So, just a little recap for you, Alex, to understand. My investment in Star Trek. I used to be a typical, like, Star Wars, Star Trek. That's a divide. It's like North and South America. And I'm on the Star Wars continent. But then Last Jedi happened, and I worked at a movie store, so we had the new Star Trek 10 movie collection. And so I borrowed it, and I watched the first one with Vader, and I'm aware of Carl Sagan making Voyager. I'm like, that was a boring movie, but I love the concept. I was engaged,
Yeah,
especially the end reveal. I'm
like,
that's so crazy. But even number 5, I've watched 1 through 5 so far, and even number 5, which people crap on apparently, I like the idea of like trying to pierce the end of space and find God and stuff like that's deep.
Yeah, Shatner's conceit. I'll shoot God, but I mean, I do enjoy it in a sort of so bad it's good way.
But a question I was going to ask to kind of like roundtable, especially with the topic of your channel being fighting in film, sword fighting. What is your take on like overall the whole saga of Star Wars fighting? Wait, let me be clear. You've watched like 1 through 6, right? Or at least the original trilogy?
Yeah, I've seen all the original trilogy, and I saw the prequels, and I saw The Force Awakens, and I saw Rogue One. There's not much sword fighting in that, but you know.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is your? I guess it's a 2-part question. So, like, what's your overall feel about the progression and de-evolution, I guess, as well, of sword fighting through the universe, and what is your favorite saber fight so far?
You mean? Oh well, fight director for the original trilogy and the prequels trilogy. So there's a consistency across those films, although the style changes in the prequels. I don't know if he's maybe not the fight director for all the prequels, but I'd have to go back and check that. But Bob Anderson's a brilliant fight choreographers of all time. And all of the original trilogy sword fights are fantastic on different levels. I mean, I like... Go on, sorry.
The Ben Kenobi versus Vader.
Yeah, I like that one because, obviously Alec Guinness was an old man and he can't move as quickly as anyone else. But I was taught by an old man in his 70s, and although he couldn't move as fast on his feet, his tiny, tiny blade actions would whoop the ass of like teenagers, 18-year-olds. I started when I was 18.
Oh, really? Wow.
He had 60 years on me, and he could whoop my ass by the subtlest move of his hand. It's, oh boy, can I swear? It's too late to ask that.
Oh, dang.
Dang, indeed. No, he would take us apart with his experience, and that's what I get, or that's how I will Obi-Wan Kenobi in that fight. And Vader is a brute, and it is brute versus. That's how you can look at it. Why it's really done like that because Alec Guinness was old and can't move as much. But yeah, I enjoyed that fight. But
Right.
I like.
You guys talk for a sec. I have to let my cat out. She's being annoying. So I'll be right back.
I thought I heard a cat there.
Yeah, I'll be right back. You guys talk.
I thought it was my kid for me. I'm like, no, my mic's muted. And then I realized, oh yeah, we just talked about his cat. So my son loves cats. We're not allowed to have pets. So we have a neighborhood cat that we play with and let in the house sometimes. And that's his first real aware interaction of animals. So he loves cats more than dogs. But he loves Paw Patrol, so there's a balance, I guess, in his head. But no, you were talking about Ben Kenobi and the original Star Wars fight,
but I do like it and I appreciate it on a level. I think it's well done. They did what they could with the available. So, yeah, I like it. Lightsaber fight. I mean, both the Empire one and the Last Jedi one are fantastic. Really well choreographed.
Wait, do you mean the Return of the Jedi?
Did I say Return of the Jedi or not?
You said Last Jedi. I'm like, oh God, no!
No. That really pisses me off as well. The fact that the Last Jedi has a name that's so similar to Return of the Jedi, in my head, the names often get transposed, which they should never do because they are different classes of. Well, one isn't even a film, really.
They imply that Rey is the last Jedi, and she's not even a Jedi.
I know. Anyway, let's not get into that. Okay. The Return of the Jedi fight at the end is brilliant. The way the tone changes, the anger taking over in Luke Skywalker, the choreography is just fantastic. It's Perfect. A little wild, but go on.
Yeah, were you going to say anything, Angus, to that?
Just to that, yeah. So my experience with Star Wars, I wasn't properly raised. That is a shortcoming of my mom. She didn't raise me with like iconic film, Star Wars included.
She's in the chat.
I know. It's kind of calling her out. I think she knows. Hindsight's 2020. But no, she had a boyfriend before we ended up moving to the town that I'm from long term and with my stepdad. But she had a boyfriend before who about the only movies they had were the original Star Wars saga, and they were so excited about Episode 1 coming out, and I was like 7 or 8. And so I was excited because the commercial looks awesome. The Darth Maul, I love, the bad guys, and he looks like an iconic bad guy. And so I would watch the original trilogy, and I was just bored to death because, like, it's not very stimulating for a kid unless you're, like, enculturated to like it. It's something that you have to be more aware of as, like, a late teen or adult. Like, the story is the focus, and the craftsmanship, of course, you realize as an adult, but as a kid, it's not flashy with modern, like, Episode 1, at the time, modern graphics. So I was bored to death. But growing up, especially recently, I said yesterday, like, my son's named Lucas because of George Lucas, but it's also sort of for Luke Skywalker because my wife loves the light side. And I watched that fight in Episode 6, and the way the music soars when he's like, sister, and then Luke gets freaking triggered, and he just starts hacking away, and you see Vader's like, he's not angry enough. And I read the book too, the adaptation of it, and it just strengthened my understanding of that scene. And it's like he almost gave in to the dark side. Like, he had to calm himself and like, no, I'll let myself die before I become, what my father did.
That's one of the best cinematic moments, I think, in any film ever. Honestly, it's just like the whole battle's going on. Him and Vader, him with Palpatine, his struggles with the light and dark, and the music, tone, angles, the choreography, everything's all playing into one huge final product of masterpiece.
You got that wide shot. Just like it's almost all black besides sabers clashing under like the stairwell or whatever, and it's like wow,
right to left,
just breathtaking.
He's fighting Vader back. Yeah, that is the best shot that always sticks in my head.
Big time. So was there any other so speaking of the sword fighting though, and I don't know if you guys talked about the fighting in The Last Jedi or in The Force Awakens. Now I'll admit that the Force Awakens fight with Rey and Kylo wasn't great, but it at least seemed like there was something there compared to in The Last Jedi, where when they're fighting the royal guards, it looked that was one of the worst fights in my opinion. Honestly, it looked so bad. There's just, you can easily see a part where 3 of them attack Rey at once. She blocks all of them and kicks one of them, and they all go back. There's a 4th guy just standing there. Like I wasn't even trying to look at it like this. I'm just trying to watch a fight and just watch the fight, and I'm like, this is so dumb. And it just looks like they're going, okay, I go, and then now you go, and then now you go, and now I go. And why would the guards fight now? The fighting goes along with the hell's happening anyway, and it doesn't make any sense. Wouldn't they just bow to Kylo after, because he's the next guy in charge? And it's like, well, okay, Sith kill each other all the time, or bad guys kill each other all the time. So I don't know. And if they can use the Force, it goes into a huge question. I'm going down away from the fighting part, but
I feel bad, Rookie, because I fell for the Journey of the Force Awakens. The little bit of money I had, I blew $100 on the first Force Friday, because I'm like, yeah, Kylo Ren, the saber. I'm so excited.
You poor sucker.
To talk about the Kylo fight in the first sequel. I love spoilers, so I read the spoilers. I knew the general plot. It was to help me better critique the film in my experience in rating it. And something I noticed that I like is the volatility of his saber. They really capture how damaging a saber is in a fight. You hear like just the raw energy.
Yeah, that was the one pro, is that you can feel like those the sound. The sound was better.
There's jeopardy, but I feel bad because I was talking about the Force Friday falling for it. Well, the second one, Force Friday 2, I only bought a couple pops. I bought Praetorian Guard and Snoke's. I'm like, well, Snoke's got to be a big part of this movie. And it's before I found the bullshitters spoiler video, and I'm like, oh god. Well, I like that fight. It's like the one scene in Last Jedi I like, even though it's choreographed horribly. And what's ironic is how popular it is to hate on the prequels. I had a SJW roommate in the Army who was all about shitting on the prequels and like, oh, look at the choreography. It's like they purposely miss each other to keep the fight going, and they show like the replays back and forth to show you like, well, why is Obi-Wan swinging his sword this way if he can take a swinging at his head? And showing the problem of choreographing a fight that way to be stylized. But they love The Last Jedi and stuff.
That makes
so
no
ironic.
sense.
That makes no sense. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, the prequels are not. I know that Doomcock really loves the, and he's not alone, the Phantom Menace final fight with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, Dual Fates fight is what I think.
Yeah.
Called.
And the music's fantastic, amazing. The fighting is not quite as well choreographed, I think, as the original trilogy ones. The last 2, anyway.
Still feels good.
No, it's brilliantly shot, and it's the best part of the film, really. The music helps, but the actors aren't quite as well. This is back to your question from 1,000 years ago. Do I think that the fights changed over time? I think actors and their ability to fence has changed over time, and this is part of the problem. With the exception of, the one that really should have worked well is Count Dooku, because Christopher Lee is a fantastic, he's now dead, was a fantastic sword stage fighter. If you've ever seen films from the mid-70s, he plays Rochefort, and he's one of the main antagonists in the film, and does a lot of sword fighting all the way through. He is brilliant, but he was ancient by the time the prequels came around, and the younger actors today do not get the same level of stage choreography, I think, in stage fighting practice in drama school. It's as simple as that. So the further you go in time, you get much more flashy effects, you get better lightsabers, yay! But you don't necessarily get better fencers or better sword fighters or stage fighters behind those weapons. And it does lead to slightly more telegraphed, slightly more showy, slightly more acrobatic sometimes, but not necessarily as with as much finesse as some of the older films.
I think part of that has to do with George Lucas, because I think he wanted to rush things quite a bit, and I think that's how they even had the guy as Anakin over the different actor. So I think that same can be said with proper fencing. They probably didn't let Liam Neeson and McGregor, get the proper techniques. Ray Park definitely, I assume, as a stunt guy, was able to.
Yeah, he knows.
He looked like, oh my god, crazy with it, fast pace. It did look cool, but I do agree. I mean, they could have. Something could have been better with it. And with Christopher Lee, speaking of Count Dooku, yeah, that to me didn't look very believable as much. I mean,
he could have been.
It just looked
taken
like
30 years off him. It would have been fine. Yeah,
it just looked brilliant. Just looked like they twist their swords around a little bit and then go shoo 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 and then okay. I'm like, well, okay, I don't really see how you won, but all right. And I don't know, it just seemed pretty slow. Almost like a Alec Guinness type of fight with it. I don't know.
Too slow.
But against Obi-Wan and Anakin moving really, really fast, and then he's going slow, but it cut and all these cuts too, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk about with you. What do you feel about cuts in a fight? Like how many cuts people tend to do in them? Because lately that's been something that bugs me so much more, and I don't mean to focus on it, but it's like, okay, you cut here, you cut here, you cut here, you cut here, and I'm like, oh my god, The Princess Bride is one of the best examples of not cutting all the time for some reason. It's a silly movie, but its sword fight, it was great. Like the way they do it, they care.
No, it's brilliant. I mean, it's a proper, well, it's comedic, but it's a rapier fight, and rapiers do have edges, but they're not sabers. They're not for cutting mostly. You can do it, but they're more for slashing on draw cuts when you go past and bring it back. Yeah, you can slash across the tip. You can slash and cut, but they're not weighted in the way that they're not really designed to chop an arm off. Let's put it that way. Unlike
I like your reference to Monty Python, by the way, in your last video.
even later with a even lighter, they're definitely not designed for cutting arms off. But you will cut people, make them bleed. But the point is the most deadly part of that kind of point primary personal defense weapon. Rapier, small sword, they are personal defense weapons, one-on-one fight weapons, dueling weapons. And the point is the thing that kills you, because it goes through your organs. That's the thing that kills you in the end. And that's how most lethal duels would have ended, by someone being stabbed through something they need, like their heart, for example.
Right.
But cutting them to death with those sort of weapons is less realistic, yeah. But if you get enough cuts, you'll bleed out and just lose stamina and won't be able to defend yourself. So it will have an effect, but it's a very long game if you're like the death of 1,000 cuts.
Yes, that's exactly the wording I was about to say right there. Nice. And you would, based on that, you would love the fight with Theocles and Spartacus. He apparently has been cut like 1,000 times and still stands, and he's like a giant dude. Real quick,
yeah.
The Spartacus won't help you with accuracy and realism, but it's still cool. But yeah, sorry to keep on jumping around a lot too. We talk about Star Wars, talk about other movies all the time and stuff. I don't know, the flow in these podcasts seem to be we just jump around all the time.
It's fine to me. Fine by me.
I like in my head, I want to go, okay, we are going to talk about this, and then we are going to talk about this. But no, we just always scatter around, which is fine. So with fight scenes or with martial art with swords, do you watch any cartoons or anime fight scenes, or do those really matter with the fight styles, or
That's
like do you pay attention or care? Because like at least I know with actual martial arts they do those a lot in cartoons, but I don't know about specific sword fighting styles.
If it's got sword fighting, and even if it's animated well, I want to watch it, and I would look for an element of realism. I'm trying to think what the last animated thing that had sword fighting is that I saw.
I am too. I can think of fighting in Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Punch. There's a bunch of fighting ones, but swords specifically, that's kind of harder to come by if they even really make them like that.
The only thing I think of, and it's really again quite obscure, is one of the Batman the Animated Series episodes where he and Ra's al Ghul are in the desert and they both end up stripped to the waist with swords and having a sword fight. And it was quite good. It felt a lot like a 1930s or 40s sword fight, stage fight.
Did you see the? I haven't seen that exactly, but that reminded me. So did you watch the Arrow show?
yeah.
Did you see the Arrow versus Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul or whatever, the sword fight?
Yeah, it really annoys me. No, hang on, I'll come back to the pronunciation later. But yeah, that was okay. It was a bit heavy-handed. It's it's TV. You expect them to have even less access to good fight choreographers, and I find the Arrow stuff a little bit clunky. It's quite good, but it's not the highest level of choreography you ever see.
A lot of it looks fake after a while, especially repeatedly. It's like, oh, okay, you go here, they go there, okay, and then they're just in the way for a sec.
Yeah, it's more like a dance, much more like a dance, and less like a fight. But it was an enjoyable scene. That I don't know which one you're referring to, whether it's one where he beats Arrow and chucks him off the edge of the cliff, or where he beats Ra's al Ghul on the bridge. But they were both,
I'm saying the cliff one, their first duel, and he loses in that one.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that was definitely a point. That was definitely a point hit. Yeah.
Yep.
That's something that could easily have killed him. Yeah.
Most likely, but it is a show and he's our main character, so they're not gonna do that, but that's okay. With swords, so do you think that going forward, based on a lot of the trends lately with giant CGI things, do you think that they'll try to just have more CGI type of sword fighting with like big creatures and robots or monsters, or do you see there being still some good classic actual, people learning how to sword fighting in films?
Yes, but I don't know if it'll be Hollywood that will end up making these films.
You're talking like either independent or fan stuff, smaller projects?
Yeah, either independent or not in the US, because I'm thinking now of my own series, and the latest in time, the most recent film, I can use English, the most recent film on my list is a French film. And so the last good sword fighting film I can recall was made in France, not in England, not in the US. And there are many later films that were made with sword fighting that were made off the basis of classic novels, but they're not good sword fights. They're not ones that would stick in my head, and perhaps even the films themselves are not that well made. So, yeah, I think it'll still happen, and perhaps people will eventually get sick of CGI and want to see something where it's genuinely someone has tried to make a fight happen here as best they can on screen without people getting killed, obviously.
Right. Well, I think part of the issue too is a lot of people are already annoyed with some CGI, which I think that if it's used properly, it's fine. Like Lord of the Rings, I guess they used a lot of CGI, but I honestly could hardly think of what was CGI. But the dragons probably were, the ring wraiths, and it's like, oh, those were CGI. Oh shit! Like, I didn't even really realize it because of the way that they it blends so well with the background, the colors, the everything, and they make it somehow feel like it has texture on the battle. But with the sword fights, here, go ahead.
No, well, I think you're right. I think Lord of the Rings, there was a lot of physical props built as well, like made, and other things in Lord of the Rings were made. So the CGI blends so well because there's something physical to blend it with. Whereas the Hobbit movies, apart from Hobbiton, they apparently didn't do all this building of the actual sets and then having CGI on top. And it does look a bit more like cutscenes from Warcraft than
it seemed like they stepped through the portal and they're in the cartoon land, and then there's all these cartoons attacking them, and it's like, okay, no. I was gonna say real quick too, but I know Angus probably wants to say some stuff, but I'll give you one sec. So did you ever watch Avatar, The Last Airbender, the cartoon show?
Me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
All right. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, I did. It took me years. I watched it years after it came out.
Same
I did
here.
watch Avatar. It was okay. I remember it because of the effect at the time of watching it as well. It must be
right.
Amazing.
Yeah, my question was going to be if they made a show or a movie with that type of style, but with sword fighting, like in a certain time where sword choreography, but they do it like with the same animation style. Like they seem to really care about their art and the way that they would fighting in that show. So to see that in a cartoon form with sword fighting,
it made me think of the Zelda games, which I've played it. One of them, the Ocarina of Time, I think, very briefly, and your description of just having Avatar as a sword fighting TV series or film just made it be like watching somebody playing Zelda.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. See, since I don't usually like pay attention to the same way that you do with the sword fighting, so I don't always look at it that way. But I do see how that could be just like watching Zelda or something. Would it make you want to play the game though? If they made a game off it, would you go, I want to play that game? That seems pretty cool.
I computer games these days because way back it kind of absorbed large chunks of my life.
No, I got you. Got to have more substance these days, less filler with what you're doing. I got you.
Kind of want to get drawn back into playing computer games all the time because it'll just, where did that month go?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Angus, did you have any questions?
No, I thought it was funny that you mentioned Lord of the Rings because I'm actually that and Harry Potter, as opposed to like the typical horror. From my household, a tradition I want to build with my family for October is like Christmas with things you watch. My house is going to be Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and probably any other medieval related stuff, because I feel like October is just like a lot of our lore is rooted in medieval times and stuff, common Western lore. So it's funny you mentioned Lord of the Rings because I own the extended trilogy, which is like each movie is 2 discs. Each movie is 2 discs on Blu-ray, and each movie has like 5 discs of special features. I've watched like 2 hours out of like I think there's like 90 hours of special features for behind the scenes.
I want to see those. I want to see those special features. Those are probably really good.
Yeah, I've got the extended edition.
Yeah, so it's funny.
Well. They are definitely worth it. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, yeah. I thought it was funny you mentioned that because I was literally going to bring that up. Like, what do you think of the sword fighting in Lord of the Rings or whatnot? And it's funny you're talking about the props and stuff, because one of the things I watched is like the set of Isengard. The diameter of it is supposed to be a mile wide, so they use like a baseball field, the dirt to make a replica that is the same diameter as just shrunken down. And so they filmed like I think it was made out of like wax, and they filmed it it was so well made that they actually filmed it up close for most of the shots, and then CGI'd around it. So that shows you the craftsmanship behind Lord of the Rings as opposed to The Hobbit. The Hobbit, the third one, I've grown to like The Hobbit, but the third one is still like Transformers to me. It's just incessant.
Yes. Oh my god.
Because they're like, well, Tolkien's aren't going to give us another movie to make, so we better just throw it all here. And it's like, oh man, it's Transformers, but it's hitting Middle Earth.
I've discovered the perfect way to watch the Hobbit movies, though. You need to get hold of this. You need to get hold of The Hobbit, There and Back Again, where all 3 movies turn into a roughly 4-hour long movie, and it's fantastic. I mean, pace of the there, and it makes sense. And if you like the L, in fact, none of the non-Hobbit characters are in it. They must have got from the DVDs because the scenes inside Mirkwood where they are falling asleep going across the river, which I don't remember being in the cinematic release.
Yeah, I remember it being very fast forwardable for the most part.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, where's the actual part that we need to see? Oh, 2 seconds, and then okay, fast forward another 15 minutes, and then something happens.
I get it. I really recommend it. If you ever get hold of The Hobbit, There and Back Again, and I know it's probably not legal, but you own the originals, so that's fine.
We'll be able to get away. There's ways all these days to get hold of stuff.
It's brilliant. It actually makes the Hobbit movies enjoyable, which is no small deal.
How do they fix the battle at the end, though? The whole third movie is just waiting for something to happen, and nothing's happening. Things are happening, but nothing's happening.
You've got to realize this is the 3 movies condensed down in 1 movie. So they've chucked out a load of stuff for it, but it makes narrative sense now. The whole thing flows from one end to the other. The battles do the job they're supposed to do. The movie finishes in a really beautiful way, actually. You've got to get it. I know that we should be able to describe these things adequately with a critical eye, but you need to watch this. You need to watch this version. It is awesome.
I'll,
And I would not say that about the original three Hobbit films.
I'll have that on the list. I feel like if we're going to compare the Lord of the Rings, the original one that they put time, effort, and really tried to perfect the craft, and then the Hobbit ones where it seemed like they tried to rush it out, kind of like YouTube or something. They tried really hard to perfect and make the best video they could, and then in the Hobbit ones, they're like, "Oh, we've done this before," and then just shut out the Hobbit
Well, I think
ones.
Peter Jackson was kind of forced, but yeah.
Okay, I'll say I'll give the Hobbits more credit than this seems like I'm giving, but it's like it's still just visually. If it visually looked better, then I think it would be more enjoyable, even if it's long and drawn out as it is. But it visually was an eyesore all the way through, and everything that's happening was just kind of okay, silly. But is it supposed to be serious? They're bouncing in the barrels, going down the thing. I'm like, it doesn't need to be here.
You've got to see the version that they're back again because it's salvaged. They've cut out all the orcs, they've cut out all the elves. It's minimized because it's just them escaping. You've got to see this version, man. And then you've got to come back and tell me what you think about that versus the three Hobbit films, which are too long and have too much extra crap thrown onto them.
All right. Well, I have that on the list now, definitely. I like that you found an edited version because it seems like ever since Ivan Ortega's trying to re-edit The Last Jedi, it seems like, okay, how can people that don't have this as an actual career take footage that was already filmed and make it better than what the final product was in the cinematic release? How the hell can they do that?
It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, they've managed to find the time and put so much effort in. And it goes back to, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but the Phantom edit of the Phantom Menace.
Now, what about them?
Have you seen the Phantom edit of the Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
First of a film, and it again made the Phantom Menace watchable. It's like, oh wow, this is really good. There's almost no Jar Jar in it. This is the way it should have been.
Oh no, the edit. Oh no, I have not seen those yet. That's also been on the list to see the edited version of the prequels. Yes,
you have to watch both the Phantom Menace, the Phantom edit, and the middle one, the Attack of the Clones. It's called the Attack of the Phantom when he edited it. Both of them are so much better than the originals. They are punchy. There's something I don't want to tell you about at the beginning of the second one, where Lucas basically gutted the scene by foreshadowing heavily and took all the tension out. And the Phantom editor, foreshadowing and put all the tension back in. It's like, oh wow.
All right, perfect.
I'd have forgotten what the opening of the film was.
I will definitely try to watch that then sometime soon because that sounds much more entertaining than what we got. What was I going to say? Something about the Star Wars. Oh, did you hear? Did you ever hear about the Darth Jar Jar theory?
Yeah, yes. He's actually a Sith. Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that would have enhanced or worsened the movies if they made Jar Jar one of the villains or the main villain in the trilogy?
Was it a real thing? I mean, was Lucas seriously considering this? It's just what?
Yeah, I can attest to this actually. I don't know if Rookie Critic's gone into any research on this or not.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm. when it was hot, I went into it.
Yeah. So like, oh no, you go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
No, I wanted you to tell me. Tell me.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, the Darth Jar Jar theory was like something related to Snoke, and it was someone reading into the animation of Jar Jar. If you pay attention, maybe you have to slow it down. When Padme is talking at the junk shop, there's a scene where Jar Jar is in the background, and he is waving his hand and saying, like, word for word at the same time, what she's saying behind her in the background. And it's like, well, he's animated, so they purposely did this. So it looks like he's doing a force trick on her. And from what I understand, Lucas actually wanted to, because he's all about the rhyme and poetry of Star Wars, as he's famously known from behind the scenes of the Phantom Menace, which he actually does a lot. Like episode 1 has the pod race. That's a callback to the indoor scene, the speed bikes. There's a lot of stuff like that, the circles within circles theories and all that. But no, it seems pretty clear that Jar Jar was supposed to be a dark side subversion like Yoda was in episode 5, where the bumbling idiot turns out to be the Sith mastermind, but of course he would probably be somehow overtaken by Sidious by the third movie. And kind of like Julius Caesar stabbing in the back.
Right, and they're like the drunken fist style fighting, like where he's always in danger and bumbling around, but manages to always come out. And the fact that he can leap super high is like only Jedi seem to do that in that universe, but he can also just happen to do it, and you don't see any other Gungan do that at all. So it makes you think that that's just Jar Jar, and he's always in all these important scenes, and he's a fish creature on a desert. And when you see him argue, or when you see Padme argue, you see his mouth moving sometimes, and it's like it seems like it is manipulating a lot of things. So it's a fun idea, but I don't know how that really would have been.
But
see, I think
he made the character so irritating.
No, I was gonna say if that were the case, like in the second one, if it was gonna be revealed, like instead of Dooku being the thing, if they had Jar Jar, and if he were to all of a sudden just be, from Misa Dopata to be, oh, you fools really thought that's how I talk. It's like finally, it's like change his voice at least, so we don't have to hear him talk like that ever again. And then see the next movie without him going, Misa gonna kill you or something. It would be.
Oh my God! This could be how they plan to save. The great force behind it all will not be the now dead Snoke. It will actually be Jar Jar. He will come back, and he will be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Of course, Dave, that movie, it's still going to be a pile of poo, but it's a thought.
Yeah, I think it's funny though how Jar Jar is looked at in a much higher light now, thanks to the sequels. The sequels have really propped Jar Jar up as an all-star. I mean, he's Oscar-worthy compared to a lot of stuff in The Last Jedi. I mean, my God.
It was the sequels that prompted me to go and find the Phantom edits in the first place, because I thought I'll re-watch the prequels because I didn't really like them. But I thought, well, I'm not going to do it straight. I have to make it better. Oh, someone did make it better. I'll watch that instead. So yeah, the sequels have done many good things by accident.
Honestly, I'll say too, the sequels have united like a fandom community, and it's bringing a lot of our talents out. I mean, a lot of people view the fandom Menace as this hate group toward the Last Jedi and Star Wars and stuff, which is kind of bullshit. I mean, I think at first, okay, I'll admit probably at first it was mostly fueled by anger toward The Last Jedi, but mostly the response people gave to our criticisms. They're like, "Oh, you're just a meanie and a stupid head," and it's like, "Oh, fuck you guys." And then at some point,
we can swear.
Yes, I don't give a shit. It's fine. And then it's just after a little while, I think that a lot of us that were talking with each other about The Last Jedi started to share ideas and talk about our own talents and share how we would do something. We're expressing our actual skills with writing or with visuals and with critiquing and with all these things, and we're all able to find each other. I made a Fandom Menace community video a while ago to hopefully get a lot of people. At the time, I only had 20 YouTubers or 20 people give me responses to how they feel about Star Wars and whatnot, but I plan on making more of those in the future when I have a little bit more of a following and have more people's opinions on things and show their creativity if they've made any Star Wars things themselves or any other projects, because it's growing, man. And it's like we're able to do this podcast right now because of people in the fandom, because of The Last Jedi, of how bad it was. You said that was part of what influenced you, was watching people's critiques.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that reminds me. I'm currently doing this on what is it? Hangouts on my phone, and I realize this is in fact a live stream going on YouTube, but I can't see any of the chat because I've got the phone.
It's only Black Angus's mom in there right now, so we appreciate you being here, Black Angus's mom as well. We only have like 2 viewers right now, but it's okay because sometimes it's early in the morning and I didn't really give much warning to us doing a live stream because I wasn't quite sure if we were exactly going to, because the morning's usually a wonky time for people. So
really worried that I was ignoring everyone in whatever chat was going on, and they were hating on me like nobody's business. I'm sorry, but I can't see your chat.
Nope, you're okay. I have the chat up on my phone while I'm talking on the computer, and if there's more people in, I have us take little pauses every now and then to address them. Now, because we do tend. That's the thing too. That's funny. We do tend to talk a lot in our podcasts, and between like Jeff and Angus and I, and then with Lone Wolf and Angus and so we just end up talking forever, and we talked for 3 hours yesterday.
And, I'm a real outlier in the group then, being the sort of reserved Englishman who never says anything.
Yeah, but you're
that's
still
great.
We're trying contrast. To we're going to make you talk. We're
you know? Yeah. I've said almost nothing so far. Yeah.
You said quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, in response to the chats though, since you have the fencing expertise and your kind of shtick in pop culture is critiquing sword fighting based movies and stuff. My mom doesn't really have I'm surprised she hasn't seen Braveheart because that was like huge when I was a baby. But she does know Troy, and so I guess I haven't seen it in years. I saw it in theaters, but I guess that's the one fighting movie my mom recognizes as far as popping up names. So if both of y'all could give y'all's take on Troy, I won't give mine because I haven't seen it in years. I know it's probably horribly stylized and cringeworthy at times, at least in parts, being an adult. But I remember I loved it as a kid. Brad Pitt was cool and stuff. But yeah,
Can I go
for my mom.
Yeah.
I think yours might be more in depth. I do plan on almost doing a comparison in a way between 300 and Troy, just because instead of just reviewing the one film, comparing two seems to be easier for me. It seems more fun because you get to compare two different types of movies. But with Troy, it is kind of cringy sometimes, but it is kind of it's another one of those ones where you have to root for whatever side you want. You can kind of choose. Like when I first saw it, I didn't really know who was the good guys or bad guys, and good guys and bad guys on both. And as far as the sword fighting goes, it's okay. I liked the Troy versus Hector part. That part was all right. I like the tension around it anyway. Like he's this invincible fighter who lost someone close to him and is just going to go take down the best fighter on the other team on the other side and takes him down just right there and drags his body off. And I don't know. I thought that was pretty good. I do think that the Agamemnon character was the goofiest mofo in the movie because he's just when he does the battle cry, he goes when they do the charge when they attack Troy. And I don't know. It's silly here and there, but I'd say it's good. If I were to rate it out of 10, like maybe a 6 or 7. I haven't actually watched it in a while, so I don't remember. But I do like some of their tactics, like with like when just his ship goes on the beach and they have to use all their shields and use their certain, quick techniques to take the beach. I guess their quick style. It was a little interesting for the time, but like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. But I want to hear your take now, Alex.
This might not be as detailed as you think because I only saw it once when it was released in the cinema, and that's the last time I saw it.
Oh gosh! Oh wow!
But there are a couple of things I remember. One thing that stuck in my head, because it's a sword fighting thing, is that Achilles, which is Brad Pitt's character, has this move, and I think it's a signature move because I think it happens more than once, but where he basically leaps up in the air and curls his arm round and stabs downwards through the shoulder.
But he does. I remember the move. Yeah, he does a sidestep, leap, and jab at the neck.
Curly jab round to the neck, which at least happens once. I think it happens more than once though, because I think
he does it 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he does it once at the beginning, once in his fight with Hector, I think, and one more time somewhere in the middle.
And I think I remember that because it always slightly niggled with me. It didn't quite sit right in terms of sword fighting. Because, I mean, I know it's not fencing, but
yeah,
there's a move that my instructor taught me called the banana shot, which is similar in a way that you basically have the sword out to the side and you curl it round to hit, but you lose distance this way, and you are more likely to get a double hit if you do that. That the other person will hit you at the same time, which was always in my head every time he did this move. It's like, yeah, I see what you're doing, but you are like to get a simultaneous hit
Yeah,
Same
see,
size.
I could see him doing that against that big guy because maybe he's slower and can't react quick enough. But with anyone else, I'm like, they could easily step to the side and slash at him or just stick their sword out. And I don't know. He seems like he's open. He's doing a
he's
weird shot, but
absolutely
he's
open.
wide open. He's wide open for a quick leap, at least a little gut jab. I mean, they both get hit, but it wouldn't be a clear, oh, I just win. It's like, no, you'd at least walk away with a scratch.
Yeah, or both dead. But it doesn't make that I was stuck with me forever, because that is not, I think, a good way to fight.
Maybe they thought that this would be a way to show he's got balls. And like, oh yeah, look at the ballsy jab he takes. He leaves himself completely open to attack. That's how confident he is. That might be an idea. And an idea for Critic doing a video. You could do a little joke where it's like you edit that scene, the idea of someone stepping or his sidestep, whatever, and do like a to the left, that song.
Yeah, that would be hilarious, but with just myself, I can't really edit it in that way. I don't think, unfortunately, but that would be funny.
Well, thinking of Achilles was, of course, meant to be blessed by the gods and only vulnerable at his heel, hence the Achilles heel, where he wasn't dipped into the whatever it was, lake, river, whatever.
Yeah.
But okay, if he's doing that move because he's essentially in God mode, then that's just removed all the tension out of any fight he's ever in. Because if he's not worried about getting stabbed in the chest because whatever weapon will just break or snap or bounce off, well, that's just not.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, if he got stabbed, would it just go through him? Would it even penetrate his skin? Why is he wearing armor? But he would say, but you see, I don't even know if that's fully true, because he said he's just a man and that he will die. And it doesn't seem like he will be invincible forever, but they made it seem like he was, but he treated it like he wasn't. Like he became the most skilled on his own. They do that kind of with Hercules sometimes too. Like they'll go, oh, he's just brought up to be a god, but he's really just a man and whatnot. So I mean, that's debatable, I suppose.
Well, if he's a man, he shouldn't be fighting like that.
But he did.
Well, he can do whatever he likes. He can waggle his ass at the opponent and then just throw the sword at him and then pick it up and have another go.
You're right. And he did get killed by an arrow to the ankle. So I mean,
but that's the critical hit ankle, though.
So would that really kill you? Like
it did in mythology. I mean, apparently he's invulnerable everywhere, but even the slightest nick to the ankle, and that's.
But I mean, if you were a human, you got shot in the ankle. I mean, unless you lost a lot of blood, would you die? Like it just seems like you go, ow, that fucking hurt, and then maybe if the arrow was poisoned, I mean, maybe you get sick, but I mean, I know it seems like he just died there with the ankle shot. I'm like, oh god, and does that really credit to Orlando Bloom from getting that shot, or is he aiming for the head and got the ankle on accident? Like that's what I was thinking in my head. I'm like, is he aiming for the ankle? Like really? I don't know.
Does that mean everyone knows about his weakness? In which case, everyone has got hit by the ankle and nowhere else.
Just get his ankles. Oh, stop, kids! You're getting my ankle. Get away from it.
He's perpetually spinning around trying to keep his ankle away from everyone. Oh my god!
Everybody's shooting at his feet and making him dance.
One very, very heavily armored boot. I mean, that's what he really should have had.
Yes.
One thing I'll say about Troy that I remember is the he's got the cousin, and then they're going out to battle, and they get Achilles, and everyone's like rallying around, like yeah, and then he fights and dies, and it turns out to be the cousin. Like I thought that was actually a good twist.
Oh, Patroclus, his cousin.
Yeah,
Patroclus. Get over here, little boy.
I'm doing air quotes when I say cousin right now.
Yeah. You mean lover? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Oh, really?
In mythology, yes. That is very glossed over in the film.
Oh, is that for real? Supposed to be his lover or something?
Yeah, that's in the myth.
Oh, the Greeks are all about gays.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was just joking.
No, you got it right.
Oh, wow. Well, because they do look like women, practically. So I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know from back then, but all right. Yeah, I agree, Angus. That was a good subversion. That was a good example of subversion. Because they didn't really show that would be him or not. They showed Patroclus wanting to fight and him wanting to leave, but Achilles could have easily just gone with that as well. So that was a good example of subversion. Ryan, take notes.
Yes.
Oh, Rookie. One thing that I haven't dug deep into this, but some I've learned in regard, because I never even thought about Patroclus being a lover of Achilles. I don't know all the mythology besides the iconic hill. Um, Something interesting I've learned though is it's well known somewhat that the Greeks had like I don't know how to be proper in a sense, but like a gay boy culture.
Yeah,
Parents would
they screwed around with whatever had a hold of stick in. So
yeah, well no, they had this whole culture where kind of like I would say in more modern like 20th century at least Asia where being a hooker for lack of a better term was a step up potentially. You might actually make money and get ahead in life if you're a hooker in like Southeast Asia, war torn like Korea and Vietnam and whatnot. That might be a way to get ahead. Well, same aspect was in Greece where it became so prevalent to I guess groom your son to like he's going to get somewhere if he gets to be a gay boy for a established gentleman. Um, but there was laws and rules. They until a certain age you weren't allowed to penetrate stuff. So there was like a gentlemanly. It's weird because to us it's all pedophilic as
can't
far as
screw
like
the boy until he's a little older.
yeah, but there was we gloss over that, but there was a awareness of like of ethics, if you will, with how they conducted themselves.
It comes up a lot in Plato and Socrates, the character of Socrates in Plato's work, because Socrates refuses to partake in this whole pedophilia system. Essentially, let's call it that, call it what it is. And he's looked upon as being particularly weird because he won't partake in this pedophilia system because it's so ingrained in the culture. Is that what? Why are you not doing this? Why won't you? Yeah, God.
This is totally on topic because it's about sword fighting.
God's sake.
Yeah, good one.
I can't believe you did that.
That was a good. I give you props on that one, Angus. I did not see that one. I did not see that one coming. Yes, pun intended. Pun intended.
It's suddenly just devolved.
Oh, we need Cecil in here.
Oh yes, I bet you I could get him on here. I bet you.
Discussing classical Greek culture to this.
Yes, and Cecil would know. We got it. I've made a song about him, and he commented on that. I bet you I could maybe get him in here. He goes on every live stream. Everybody goes on, so that would be great.
I mean, his comic's called a cash grab. So what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. We'll just say we're trying to Cecil grab or something to get attention. I don't know.
Grab him by the Cecil.
No. All right, kids. So, if there's any children in the audience, your mother's watching this, Angus. You better watch her mouth with how you talk.
She likes Anchorman. She likes Deadpool. This is fine.
Okay, this is normal. Okay. All right. All right. So
I'm gonna have to go soonish. I mean, I'll probably hang on.
So do I actually. So let's try to wrap this up within like 15 minutes.
But yeah, maybe with a song or something. I don't know.
That's all good. So I got class in the morning, and I got to get something to eat for breakfast too. So yeah, we can start wrapping up now. So is there any last words, Angus? Anything you wanted to ask Alex or to bring up?
I'll actually let him go first. He might inspire something. I definitely think he should. Since we didn't really get to address that, I may hate about the points he makes, but I want to see something about Game of Thrones and why he's having trouble investing fully. Because I freaking love Game of Thrones from the beginning to the end so far. But I started reading the books before I watched it in Afghanistan.
Okay. Do you want me to answer that now, or yeah, you want me to have a little go at it before I make a video on it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh god. Okay. Well, I've not read the books, but from what I get from the books from the TV series, it irritates me a bit because it's so obviously derivative. And I mean the books because this is where the source materials come from. Because he's ripped off so many good fantasy authors that are not as famous now after he's been so successful. So he's ripped off directly Michael Moorcock, who is awesome and not dead, I'd like to point out, and wrote books from like the late 50s through to now. In fact, he wrote the whole Elric series and a billion other fantasy stories. And in fact, Elric, the Melnibonians are where the Khaleesi's lot are largely based on, particularly with the dragons and the albino / hyper blonde hair. Anyway, he's ripped off that. He's ripping off Conan, large parts of the southern continent, which again I've forgotten the name on. There was some with Sorcerers of Koth or something like that in in Game of Thrones. The name was ripped straight out of Conan. And the undersea dead god that they're worshipping is from H.P. Lovecraft. He's basically ripped off every classical author of the 20th century writing fantasy and horror and crowbarred it into one mush. Oh, and then of course there's Lord of the Rings and English history also. It's a little bit too derivative for my taste without enough originality. It's like, come on.
Not as creative as you would expect.
Yeah, but he's got so much credit, literally money for it, because most people don't know the sources. And they go, this is so original, this is so clever. Come on.
I agree with you as one it's hard to watch it, but think of Star Wars as well. That takes a lot of like Buddhist philosophy and the hero's journey stuff. Like he's taking a lot he's taking a lot of stuff from other parts of history and other things that have been done before. Making it into his own thing, and he's getting credit from it for the most part. So
steals.
But I think there is more
on the nose.
I know what you mean. There's more obvious parallels that you're drawing here.
An actual name taking.
one not necessarily counter to that. I actually appreciate that. I want to see like an in-depth review of you, especially because you're an Englishman. So like fantasy writing has everything to thank England for. But one thing, I actually watched a video recently about Martin and Game of Thrones and stuff, and the idea, what makes the show endearing, besides, I guess, now you kind of know who the main people are because it's about to end. But his whole style has been showing that every character is expendable or can be at any given time. And his idea is that even fiction should be trying to say something about the truth of something. And his idea is that all men must die. That's actually the overall theme. It's kind of nihilistic, and I love it because I love nihilism. I love No Country for Old Men. So
I get that. That's my one. That is an artistic standpoint that has validity. I mean, he's trying to do something and portray it through his art, his medium, and that's good. I mean, it is more original than all the other things that I've just mentioned. That is less ripped off because that's more of a thematic idea rather than I've nicked a character or a race or whatever. And he has credit where credit is due. I understand what you're saying. It's not my personal taste as well. This might be the other problem I have, is that it is so nihilistic that, there's no heroes, there's no important people, everyone's equally unimportant, you're all going to die. Great. But I kind of like having a central character that I can hang my attention on throughout the story. I know that Anti-Trekker got turned off after season 1 because Ned Stark got killed, and I can see where he's coming from because he was an interesting character and dead.
Well, you don't want to always have to reattach to new characters. You want to have one that you already got used to them, and then you get to go through them. Like if you think of all these other main characters and other shows, and they were to be gone, where would a lot of your attachment be towards? But I will say.
Sorry, I'll go. You go.
No, I do have a counter though with that. Honestly, but only one example though is Dragon Ball Z. Have you ever watched that?
Not more than like 5 minutes. Sorry.
So one of the main threads in that show is Goku is the main character, but he's usually removed from all the stuff, either from being killed and having to be out of the way for a long time, or he's very far away from it, so he's got to travel in a spaceship to go get them, or he gets pulled away. He gets pulled away so often. He's usually the OP guy that can take care of everything, but he's never usually there. So that allows all the secondary characters to get to take a spotlight. So all the other ones who, okay, well, they wouldn't really be able to win because Goku can just kill them, can just take care of everything. Well, he's not around. So you have to always have, so you get to know the secondary characters so much more, and you get to like them better. And, you know, this way you still, you have your main character around, but he's not always the center of attention. If that makes sense.
But you can have an ensemble cast and still not have them going through the mill like be through a mincer. I mean, so you're not going to continue to turn over in 10 characters. I mean, you can have your focus on a handful of characters rather than one, but if they're all being
right, if all of them were to be killed, well, okay, in Dragon Ball they always get killed, but they always can get brought back. But I mean, if we're to apply that to Game of Thrones, yeah, I mean, some people do have to stay alive, is what I'm saying. Like if some of those secondary characters that were around the first one or something stay alive, then killing that one main character, I think, is okay. But especially if it's the main character. But I couldn't tell if there was a main character in season 1. Because there's so many characters, so it was hard for me to tell who I'm actually supposed to care about. Sometimes I'm like, oh, am I really supposed to like you or not?
And most of them are quite unpleasant. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like most of them, I'm just kind of, oh, well, you're okay, I suppose, and whatnot. A Lone Wolf Cub is in the chat.
Oh, hey, we're sadly about to end, but welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I'll say about Game of Thrones that works for this sort of anti-style, if you will, or like yin-yang paradox of normal narratives with the characters and longevity, is that I think it works because the setting is like a political circus, if you will, because like power is always changing hands and stuff. And when I think about it, I don't know much about World War I at all, but I know that the like hallmark kickoff moment was Franz Ferdinand or whatever, the was it like the Archduke or whatever, and like and so like that little thing somehow kicked off all of World War One, and so you kind of see that with Ned Stark in season 1, where the example of like virtue doesn't entail longevity, I think, is interesting.
I think that was well said.
Yeah, makes sense. But it still doesn't make you like the characters.
I totally get that.
I think it is hard to be attached to the show and want to see how everything goes if a lot of people that you're trying to get attached to aren't going to be there half the time. It's kind of like, well, okay, are you going to be at the end? Nope. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I'll still have to give that a chance at some point. I'm trying to watch The Expanse. I don't know if I'll be able to watch the whole first season by Sunday, honestly. but yeah. So Alex, I'll be wrapping it up now. So Alex, on Sunday we've got the Cinema Squad podcast that we do noon Western time and 3 p.m. Eastern time. What's our time difference with you? What's your time? What is it right now?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll do that. It's about 6:30 p.m. here.
6 p.m. Oh wow, it's 10:25 a.m. for me for here. So we had a nice difference too, and like an 8-hour, like 8-hour difference. That's interesting. All right, and Angus is like 1 o'clock, 1:30 around.
It's 1:30. It's funny because like I'll wake up and I'll respond to Rookie Critic messages through Facebook, whatever, and then I'll like have to wait like 3 hours to get a response because like, oh, he's waking up and I've been up for like 4 hours because my kids get up early and get my wife ready for work.
Yeah, but so we'll have our Cinema Squad podcast every other Sunday, and we'll kind of take turns like the High Council and Tribunal do. We'll have it on each other's channels and see, just try to share it around. And I don't know when we'll start having actual guests on, but you're definitely welcome to. And I have my Rookie Corner podcast that I've just started. Yesterday was my first episode. This one's my second one, and this is just honestly, I could do it myself, but I like to have guests on. More people to talk with is better conversation. So you're welcome to join, man.
Thank you very much. I'd be honored to join.
Yeah, and noon is usually the preferred time for stuff. Would that work for you? So noon for you, or that would be like that'd be 8 p.m. For you.
That's not so bad. That sounds perfect. But
Like
yeah,
noon for me, 8 p.m. for you. Everywhere else, it seems to be after everybody's already done their main part of their day. So
yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I don't know when I'll do all my rookie corner stuff. I'm usually trying to have things scheduled. Next Wednesday, I have Princess Eureka. She's a small YouTube channel that hasn't posted anything yet, but she's an up and comer wanting to do comic stuff and voice acting at some point. So that'll be my next scheduled one for sure. And then there'll be the Halloween one where we'll just be winging it, honestly, with whoever wants to come on in. So you or Lone Wolf Cub or anybody else wants to come in, we'll have some fun, talk about stuff.
Sounds good. And hopefully I'll have a better setup than I have at the moment as well.
Oh, yeah. But do you have Halloween over there, by the way? That might be a weird question in Britain.
I believe it predates America in terms of the US in terms of its historical origins. Yeah, we have Halloween. It's all the way back to the pagan festivals around.
Okay. Okay. But you see that on Halloween, we'd be doing that one probably in the evening, or at least for me, it'd be the evening. It'd be like 6 or 7 or something around here, and it'd be like 10 or 11 for Angus. So for you, I don't know if you'd be able to do that one because that'd be kind of early in the morning. But if not, that's totally cool.
Yeah, we'll wing it. We'll see.
Just winging it. Exactly. Just doing whatever and having you on more. We'll get your name out there a little bit more. Anybody that will watch this, check out Alex Leithes and his YouTube channel, and Black Angus Reviews, his YouTube channel. Yeah, I forgot to put Angus. What? Leith?
Leith. No one can pronounce my name. Don't worry.
Oh, Doomcock always says Leith. Doomcock always said Leithus, so I'm like, oh, Alex Leithus. Okay.
However, Jessie Marstow, Mindless Entertainment, does pronounce it correctly, so I'm always very pleased that she does that.
Well, I want to be one that does it correctly. So Alex Leiths.
Yay!
Okay. I will remember that now, and that will be our thing for sure.
Yeah. You don't know how many people have screwed up my last name. It's an English name, and it's literally 2 words. And they'll spell it wrong. They'll say it wrong. And it's like, what?
People spell my first
name
in America
wrong
all the time. No, I feel you. See, my name is Jeffrey, the full name, but people spell it Jeffrey, or they spell it with G's and P's and H's, and I'm like, where the hell are you getting these letters from? Because that is not my thing.
There are multiple spellings for Jeffrey. That, to be fair.
Yeah, but that's why I just go by Jeff, or on YouTube, The Rookie. I mean, that's totally fine. I have skits on my channel, by the way, where I have alternate versions of myself that I fight with and stuff and argue. The Jeffster, Jeffy Fro, Jeffro. Jeff and Jeffrey are different ones. Future Jeff. I have all these funny little.
This is one of the reasons I went with Dr. Alex. It's not the only reason I went with Dr. Alex, but yeah, then I don't have to wrestle with that last name.
Right, but you could also have alternate versions of you for like Doctor Who or something, and have the new Dr. Alex. No. Where's the woman Dr. Alex going to get? No, just kidding.
Well, it is an Alex, at least a gender neutral name as well.
Oh, true. Didn't even think about it like that. But thank you guys that just joined. But we're just about to end it right here. The Chadwick Dupree and the Lone Wolf Cub. But we'll have the stream up in just a few minutes. It takes a little bit to render. But if you guys want to say any last second things to the chat real quick, or to anybody, go ahead. Either of you.
Thanks for
We're just too polite. Yeah. It's
been really fun. I've like. No, sorry. Right. You go ahead, Alex.
All right, Alex, you go.
This lag is terrible. I was just thank you for inviting me. Is all I was going to say, and I look forward to doing this again.
Yep, no problem. And then Angus.
Yeah, I love the international reach. The Cinema Squad is building with the fandom Menace. Got a German yesterday and an Englishman today. I'm hoping we get some some quote unquote odd fandom Menace subscribers. Like someone from Africa or Australia or something, or New Zealand, somewhere exotic that we're not really cognizant of.
Caves of Iraq. Fandom. The caves of Iraq. No, we'll see. All right, but I'm going to close out the podcast, everybody. So thank you for joining us on the Rookie Corner, and have a good one.